Two? Two gaming videos in a row? Shut up. Years ago, I made a video where I said, as a longtime fan of the Stalker games, that I was really afraid I would not like its long-delayed sequel, Stalker 2. It would be so easy to make a Stalker game without what makes Stalker special. It's a sorta post-apocalyptic open-world survival first-person shooter where you go around collecting resources, shooting monsters, and fighting goons. Stalker is, on its surface, the most generic gamer slop imaginable. If you left a bottle of warm Mountain Dew on your porch for a week, a game like that would just ferment in the bottle. But what makes Stalker great lies in the little details. The creepy-ass ambient noises, the way the game can rapidly go from monotony to sheer terror. The way the NPCs always talk to you like, who are you? Fuck off, I'm busy. Stalker contrasts the shooty-looty gamer-brained stuff with some legitimately effective cosmic horror. The surreal atmosphere, and at times crushing difficulty, combine to make a truly unique gaming experience. Stalker makes you feel like a flea crawling through Cthulhu's ass hair. That is what sets it apart, and that feeling is what has given the franchise such a cult following. My fear was that Stalker 2 would be just like games I've played a million times before, because it wouldn't be difficult to make it like a game that I've played a million times before. The initial hours of the game definitely did not deliver, and I began to think, this is what a Stalker game made by Ubisoft would feel like. I wanted to bury my computer and do a little funeral service. I was destroyed. You spend the initial hours of the story being jerked around. You're compelled to make a story decision that doesn't matter. That story decision being, do I side with the military or the Stalkers in this one situation, which does not fucking matter. It's all about some guy. Like, who gives a shit? Who is this? Now, for those of you that have never played a Stalker game before, let me be clear. The military in these games is always either shooting at you or accepting a bribe to not shoot you before shooting you anyway. My first impressions were not good. There are bright spots, but for the most part, every character is way too friendly. The atmosphere isn't there.
Hey buddy, over here!
I counted 3 separate times where NPCs called me over so they could give me a quest to go raspberry picking or whatever the fuck. I was severely let down. This is not what Stalker is. When you reach the second area, which old Stalker players will definitely recognize, the game, thankfully, begins to actually feel like a Stalker game. Which is to say, everybody hates you, up to and including the makers of the game itself. At one point, after entering a new area, I was talking to this guy, he's like a minor character in the story. I was doing that video game thing, where you select a dialogue option to learn more about the characters and situation in this new area, and he tells me to fuck off. And the entire dialogue thing disappears. Like, no other character does this. Like, he hit the escape key. He simply did not want to talk to me. He did not give a fuck that I wanted to know what was going on. To be clear, I'm saying this is a good thing. I love it. The surreal atmosphere has also been nailed here. I almost don't want to show you this. I feel like it might ruin the trick. I mean, it's not a trick. It's just... Okay, so they put this shit, like animal sounds, or I don't know, aliens having orgasms maybe, just strange otherworldly nonsense deep in the audio mix when it's dark and you're alone. I don't know if this was like a guiding philosophy for the music or sound mixing or whatever, but a lot of the times when you're deep in the zone, all alone, and night is falling, and every bush looks just a little like a bloodsucker, the border between the background music and environmental sounds just sort of blurs together. You'll hear a sound and you're like, did a thing make that sound? Can it smell me? The first 6 hours of Stalker 2 are spent with a radio squawking in your ear, the most unpleasant, dull as dishwater dialogue I could possibly imagine. But it turns into a real Stalker game pretty quickly. And once it does become a real Stalker game, it is a great one. I knew they'd actually nailed the feeling of Stalker when this fucking bloodsucker just Then I fought the Bloodsucker valiantly, as I always do. You know, I've got a great strategy for fighting Bloodsuckers, write this down. I flail around spastically until the Bloodsucker gets embarrassed and leaves. Anyway, right after our skillful dance of death, an emission came. I genuinely thought I was not gonna make it, but I thankfully found shelter just fast enough for my brains to only get medium rare cooked. You see, the thing about the emissions is that they don't fry the parts of your brain that you really need for artifact hunting, just the useless parts, with memories of your family and all that gay shit. Come to the zone. We have 0 women and 1,000,000 guns aimed directly at your head. Oh wait, no, actually, the game got woke. It added girls. There are a few female traders, which is fair, women be shopping or bartering. Furthermore, Cedrovich has transitioned. There's also one lady that mocks you while you die in the arena. I fucking love her.
So, comrade janitor, are you ready to clean the pants? You'll be meeting some unfounded today, so be gentle.
Oh yeah, the arena's back. Thank you, mean lady, by the way, for awakening me to things. Velvet Thunder, it's very simple. You call me a bitch and pull the trigger. What's so hard to get about this? It just doesn't seem safe. Listen, it's not loaded. Go ahead. Point it at my groin and pull the trigger. Ah, shoot. But of course, we do have to talk about this. The Slav Jank.
Now we can talk. We can talk later.
There was one point, I can't tell if it's an oversight or a glitch. You're supposed to find your way through this toxic slime factory and talk to a guy. But because you're in someone else's base, you can't take your knife out, and yet the game puts these breakable boxes in a tube that you need to go through. It's fine, you just bump up against them real awkwardly for a while, but there's no way it's supposed to be like this. I reloaded the save, and I still could not get my weapons out. Just a weird oversight. There are a lot of weird little things like that. All of it was acceptable though, until this bit. Yeah, the room won't load in. This is critical path. You need to do this to proceed with the game's story. It's obviously a pretty massive problem. I tried reloading and restarting the game, and nothing worked until a patch came out, literally 2 hours later. They were patching this game continually as I was playing it. That's probably not good. I don't know if that's normal. Anyway, once I proceeded and finished with the previously busted area, I went back to turn in the mission, and the walls were flickering. The walls have begun flickering on several buildings in the game now. This only became a problem with the new patch. I don't know what the fuck is going on. As of this upload, it's still an issue. This is particularly unfortunate, because as the wallpaper was having a rave, the military medic I'm talking to sends me on a mission to shoot his escaped patients in the legs so that they could be discharged and sent back home safe. That is a fucking incredible side mission idea. Also, they didn't get sent home. It's fucking horrible.
Чітко ти зняв того фанатика на схилі.
There was another issue I faced where an NPC would lock me into dialogue, which I couldn't leave. I couldn't even reload with the hotkey. I just had to restart the entire game every time this guy got near me, and he was in a pretty important area. I had to reload an older save due to, some glitch about 10 times during my playthrough, and I'm still not done with the story. I've played about 30 hours. Broadly speaking, the game looks great, but there are some stutters, particularly in areas with a lot of NPCs. I can also not attest to the console performance. I had no performance issues with Cyberpunk 2077. I was shocked at what I saw there, so, don't take my word on the console version. I played on my computer. Here are my specs. Ladies, there is some charm to the jank. I believe I can fly. There's one point in particular, I'm 99% sure a random dude that works at GSC's offices recorded a voice line.
I don't really care. The Strider will want to talk to you. Go ahead.
Stone, no! He's a stalker.
He's alone.
I don't know if it's a placeholder, and maybe they forgot to replace it, or if it's just they just ran out of voice actor money. On one hand, these technical issues are pretty severe, but on the other, I can't wait to finish this video so I can get back to playing it. Actually, let me glaze it a bit more. I fucking love the sound design. Oh yeah, and I found a teleporting cabin in the swamps. Isn't that fucking cool? The swamps are great in this game. They're fucking spooky. There are, in general, some really nice touches. Details that add to the atmosphere, but just don't actually need to be there. Like, these are not anomalies, they're just weird places where reality is just fucking falling apart. Stalker's glitches suck, but the game definitely does not feel like a shallow cash grab. This is clearly a labor of love. A labor of love developed through a pandemic, and then an invasion. I know longtime fans know this, but Stalker is a Ukrainian game. They had to relocate the studios to Prague, but there are apparently still guys in Kiev working remotely. I can't imagine making a AAA game, period. I don't know how they fucking made a good AAA game, with only some technical issues, dealing with that shit. All things considered, the technical issues don't stop me from playing the game. I've already dumped an embarrassing amount of hours into it with the short time I've had. I don't get review codes. It's happened once before, and that was like a few years ago. But I'm guessing I got one for Stalker 2 because my video was brought to GSC's attention. So we must entertain the possibility that there's a photo of me at their offices with darts stuck into it. They clearly believe that they've lived up to the Stalker name and delivered a sequel worth waiting over a decade for. I agree. It's not just a great game, it's a great Stalker game. Although, you know, GSC, if you can actually brick the game with your day one patch, that would be outstanding. I have a big history video to do, and it was very rude for you to release when you did. Thanks for watching. Big things coming soon.